Hello and welcome to a new video on the Microsoft Excel Collegiate Challenge YouTube channel. This will be a solve of the May Weekend Battle bit of music case Junior Varsity Edition. And yeah, first I'm Julian. I will do the walkthrough for this case. Normally my mode is that you know what I do. I try to solve everything in the single cell approach as possible. Otherwise I will use data tables, but I will not data table every case. I normally use a lot of lambdas, but in this case I haven't used a lot, so also in the University edition I will use none of my lambdas. And here normally I overread the instructions and go to the levels, and if I have there any questions I will later jump to the instructions. Yeah, that is everything you need to know about my solving style. And without further ado, let's jump into the case. And I will first solve the levels and then the bonuses. This is something you can do in the non-live formats. In the live formats, the strategies should be a little bit different, but yeah, in this case not necessary. So, how many bits have a value of 1? Since we can sum 1 and 0 stays 0, we can simply use here the sum function. Check it with the hints, everything seems to be alright, and level 1 is solved. Now, you should create from these 4 single characters those answers. You can do this by simple concatenating those answers. And here also check it with the hints, and also level 2 is solved. Here it's basically the same as before, but as you see here there's a 0 at the beginning, because this is text and not a numeric value, not a number. But you can make something that is text to a number by multiple ways. My preferred way is use minus minus. Here in the instructions you should use the value function, or you can use the value function, but I will stay with minus minus. And with 0, with 1, with 0, yes, we are fine. So, here, those are binary messages, and we should translate them to decimal, or to normal numbers. And there is a bin to des function, which will translate binary to decimal. And we are also in the boundaries, and therefore we can go further. Here, I first split those messages with the minus as the column, use that as row delimiter. And then if you sum them up, they will get summed up accordingly. But here again, we have the problem that this is now a text and not a number, and therefore with minus minus we make this a number, and then we can sum it up. Check it with the example, check it with the hints, and we are good to go. Now, here we use this super complicated instructions thing, but I will only use or explain the parts that are important. So the first 8 digits are the so-called status byte, and the second part of it, so the second half of it, is the so-called second nibble, which is then in decimal format, giving us the channel from which the instruments are. And since we have here something that is in a table, I will make this a table. Simple click Ctrl T and OK, and then rename the table. In this case I name it instr for instrument. Click enter and you're right. And here you can either also create here a table, or you can use create from selection, which you found here, and then it will create names based on the header here. In this case, this will be named node and this will be named key then. And here, since I prefer this sometimes over the headers, I will use this. Top row is our name or our header, and then you see this is now a named range called node. Now, so therefore I use here the mid function, because starting from 5, the next 4 messages are of our interest, so those messages, those characters here. And then I will use bin to this to make this a decimal number, and then with xlookup this in our table instrument channel, returning instrument. We get to our answer, check this with the example, and we are good to go. Yes, this is also right, and this is also right, so I'm reasonably sure that all answers are right. Now, the second one is a little bit more complicated, because if you can see here, those channels are given multiple times, and therefore we need to also use the node to determine which instrument is played. And yeah, so I will elaborate on this. Use here a let function because the binary channel part I can also use again. And then you need to search for which part is for the node. In this case, it's the digit 9 to 16. But since we have there a delimiter in between, I need here mid of this starting from 10 and not from 9, and then the next 8 characters, which is then this part here, as you can see. I will also use bin to des, sorry, mixed it up, bin to des to create it, to create here the decimal value. Then I look this value up in key, returning node. Now I use the named ranges, which is then a node. And now I can say the following: if b equals 10, so if it's an instrument that is not 100% determined by the channel. Sorry, I wanted to show this. So if b equals 10, then I want to do an xlookup for n in our instrument table for the node, returning the instrument. If it's not 10, then I do an xlookup for b in instrument for the channel, returning the instrument. Check it with the example, drag it down, right, hi-hats, maracas, seems to be right. So now going to the bonus questions. How many ones are in level 1 messages? In this case we can simply sum this up. How many level 2 answers have a 1 in the 1000 position? So there are multiple ways for this. Either you say here, okay, if here this is, or you can do something, len minus minus of this equals 3, which gives you true and false, and with minus minus of this you get ones and zeros. Sorry, I need to delete here this rule. You get ones and zeros, minus, sorry. Which is 8. No, 4, sorry, it needs to be 4, which is then 12. Here, 11, sorry. Or you simply sum this up, which is also 11. So basically, you can say equals sum of this. How many nodes are between C2 and 4, F hashtag 4? In this case, I simply looked it up, not including those between C2 and F hashtag 4, both not including. There are 29 nodes. Level 4 answers how many values are odd. Simply use equals minus minus is odd, which will hand you out a 1 and 0 if it's odd, and then you see it has summed this up. And if you click here once on those calculated basic numeric basic values here, you copy it and you can simply then put it in here. How many nodes are sharps? And they have a hashtag in there, then they are sharps. There are multiple ways. Either you search for this by making something like search for the sharp in here, which gives you an error or a number. And if you use then the isNumber function on this, it will give you true and false. If you use then minus minus, it will give you ones and zeros, and summed up it's 41. But there's an easier way. You can simply say, is this 3 characters long? And this also in a bracket and with a minus minus in front, which gives you also 41 because only the sharps are 3 characters long. And with this, we have solved the university level case. Nothing too special there. There are also not that many alternative ways. Simply straightforward, nothing too special there. But yeah, quite an enjoyable case. So, thank you for your attention. Watch also the other videos on the MECC channel and also compete. And then I hope to see you in Vegas. Bye.